Power up. Welcome to Energypreneurs, where I bring to you the exciting new opportunities in solar power, battery, and electric cars. I'm your host, Sohail Hasni. I have been tracking and analyzing these technologies on LinkedIn and Twitter for more than 10 years. Now we meet on podcast. Good morning, Keisuke-san. Finally, good to catch up. You are in Japan, I'm in Sydney. Amazing technology today, no?
Yeah.
So welcome to Energypreneurs. Maybe you can introduce yourself first.
Yes, thank you very much again, Sohail. My name is Keisuke. I'm a graphic facilitator slash designer. I'm working with ADB, other international financial institute, UN, NGO, private sectors, helping people to visualize mostly future than past, but pretty much anything that have the conversation goes, I come and visualize by hand or infographics and all kinds of visualizations. That's what I do.
Wow, visualization. I mean, it reminds me of Toastmaster's speech, somebody who became a champion, the gentleman is, I think, from Saudi Arabia, who was saying climate change is a communication problem. I'll send you the link. And he was saying, scientists talk mumbo jumbo here. Politicians don't understand. They said this. People are all waiting to do action. And again, the world is sinking. So you are in a very, very critical role, no?
I am interested in climate change, but I'm not capable of understanding those thick reports, unfortunately. But if I do see the infographic, that helps me to understand. So I try to do something similar to digest those complex ideas into something that you can see and, okay, that's the connection. That's the big picture. That's what I want to do, and that's what I'm happy doing it.
Oh, then we are trying to do the same thing, because one of my motivation of doing these podcasts, I remember I was in Melbourne, all these students were protesting, school kids, about climate change. And I asked them, where do you get your information? They said, from our teachers. And then I said, okay, teachers may not have up-to-date information, right? And I go to these mumbo jumbo meetings that you said, UNFCCC sometimes, and at least in the middle should understand. So how to translate those through expert like yourself, the conversation, so that it becomes sort of digestible by the normal people, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's growing. Visualization is getting popular and popular, especially in the age of social media. Like you held, try to make something different, and different visualization is there. And it used to be like, oh, that's like a cartoon, animation, kids stuff, that's, emojis, nothing serious. But actually, it is becoming a mainstream part of business. So, yeah, I see the difference between now and last 10 years, I'd say. Yeah.
Can you explain a bit more visualization, what actually happens, and what's the process of turning into a mumbo jumbo concept into digestible pieces, right? We all have that challenges, no?
Yeah. Well, I do two types of visualization. One is on live, and the other is more like a desktop. And on live, I go to the conferences, meetings, or webinars, and I just come with either paper or most likely tablet, and I just listen what people say and try to capture 90 minutes or 1 day or 3 days discussion in one paper. That's a live graphic facilitation that I do, and in that process I pick up only the part that important to me. Not about them or not about the people. Like I am a kind of artist in a way, because I just selectively, I think that is super important. I talk about 20 minutes of same bureaucratic administrators, one word come in to hit my heart, I just gonna draw it big. And most often it's about climate change and the climate crisis. And people, one person said climate crisis. I do like climate crisis. As a lot of everybody said climate change people. One person said that, okay, he said that, so I'm gonna write the climate crisis because I have a part to play to make it bigger and give some, I don't know, not a message, but like my interpretation to it. And that's a live. And I also ask the questions here and there. What do you think about this? And we can co-create the visual together if the number of participants is not that big. The other part of desktop is basically the huge report. Just read it through or scan it through, and then I design the graphic and the infographics or presentation or some figures inside of publication.
Wow. So you basically saying, let me understand that what is relevant to me, what I am taking away from this discussion and put that into one simple piece of paper. So you must be really bored through all this mumbo jumbo that goes on in the background, no?
It is. If I just listen to those long lectures or presentations, actually really like get bored. But as soon as I start drawing, then my other parts of the brain start working. And also, some people do say same thing in different way.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't acknowledge that because they want to say it as if that's their key message, but like you just repeating what the other person said or just building on top of it, which is the beauty of conversation. That's how the panel discussion or any work should be, like building on top of it, other like inspired or like repeating the same thing in a different way. But in the visual, you can actually capture that in one view, like, oh, you are actually, this is the key big message, and here's the other, splits or like stream from big picture.
Wow. Is it somehow similar? I'm just trying to understand. One of a BBC presenter came to facilitate one talk show, and I was with her, and then we were trying to see who is going to say what, and then which question she would ask. And I was amazed at how she managed. This was people speaking in Russian, translation, 10 people, 5 countries. But then I was, when I was watching her, that she was doing almost like a mind map of what I told her. So she knew what to expect, like your one piece of paper. And then she was saying, okay, this area getting hit a lot. This area remains a bit empty. And this is what I told her that what we wanted out of this conversation. Then she said, okay, who is going to talk about this area? Let me ask those. So somehow she got the whole piece of paper covered. So it's a reverse of what you are doing, no?
Yeah, it's indeed. Just listening to what you said, the drawing, what is being like illustrated is important, and that's what that tell the story. But actually, in a live setting, it's more important to leave the empty space for them to think.
Okay.
So let's say the drawing, and from the left side, and here we are, and starting this and this, and top right corner, it's vast empty, and we just ask the participants. So there, we still don't know uncertainty these days. Everything's uncertain, the volatiles, and this is the future. What kind of future would you like to see, and how do you get there? So then that empty white canvas make them think, like make me think, because possibility is there, it's white paper is there. I think everybody has that in their brain, but just seeing it in front of you makes you think, like, what would you like to draw on that white space?
Okay, now you have started making me think. Okay, Keisuke-san, I'm just thinking, what's the general And let's pick up one of your best illustration that you have done that you are very happy with. Can you explain how it looks? I know it's a very difficult thing without the visual.
In terms of climate change and energy, I went to Bali
Mhm.
2018 or 17.
Mhm.
It was in a global infrastructure forum. It was along with the World Bank, IMF annual meeting, and
Mhm.
there's all the IFIs, international financial institutes, there to discuss about infrastructure, and it's about climate investment. Basically, it was an infrastructure about how to make it more sustainable. And I had no idea what the infrastructure is. Not my thing to start with. This is more like a soft human development person coming from UN and you know more social background. So I had no idea how that is. But like whole day I was listening in the conference room, drawing infrastructure investment and the monies and all those impact investor coming from all over the world and climate. Well, the visual is still in my website, but it's I really made a sense like, oh, big chunk of thing in the middle is missing. That was I was drawing it, and like there's a money chunk of money on the left
Mhm.
side. Everybody know what they want on the right side, and in the middle is missing, which is bankable project. It was not there. And as I say, everybody come and say the same thing. Morning session, afternoon session, same. We have money, we have vision, we don't have project. That was the key message, and I would keep drawing it, just drawing. Like it's that's it. And interestingly, people come to my drawing and say, hey, Keisuke, this is not right. No, this is actually is more important. You should write it a little bit bigger. Like a UN chief economist actually came and he was just sitting right next to me, almost the session. So like, that's Keisuke important. I could write it there. Connect that to make it this. To actually see, now I really understand the big picture. I don't know the detail. I'm not an expert. Those any by no by any mean, but I see the big picture of that's where we are. So to me that was a big learning, and also good one of the good work that I have done in my view.
Fantastic. I mean, that's my takeaway after 21 years at Asian Development Bank. Yes. And that's what I tell many of our clients saying, listen, money is not the problem. If you define the problem well, what are you trying to solve? And if you know clearly what you need, especially for climate change, there is enough funding out there to be able to make it happen. Because the problem is the noisemaker inside. People come and complain, half a dozen, think about this, why did not work, the system doesn't work. But the bottom line is, where is a project? What do we finance? What do we get out of uh, this discussion? The money, whoever is investing want to see return. Where are the benefits? Who's going to capture? How we capture it? Can we trust these people? Is there a governance structure? All of those things are the problem, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's apparently that was the issue because everybody said pretty much the same. But it was 2018. Has it changed? 3 years passed.
No. I think climate change, we meaning Asian Development Bank, missed the target last year, I think. And this year is more emphasis to increase the climate change because our president made a huge commitment by 2030, the climate goal. And I think that's everywhere, all governments, because the projects have certain requirements, growing complex requirement, which needs to be simplified in my view. So all of those, both from our government side and development bank side, streamlined. So at the end of the day, suddenly you have a lot more additional funding or interest, but you need bankable project, right?
Time do we have? Maybe I'm asking you, sorry, maybe you should ask me, but how much do we have time? Because that time, 2018, in Bali, they said we don't have much time left, but that's like, they're old men and women, they're not used, and used was saying like, it's over a past and we don't have much time.
I don't think we have time. The only thing which is hopeful that I am seeing in the last 2-3 years, especially, a lot of young people coming in, young entrepreneurs, they are driven by the need to do something for climate change as opposed to get a return on my investment and others. So they are throwing all of it. And I had the opportunity to interview some of those people through this podcast. They're throwing all in. And I'm very hopeful that when everything gets thrown in, I mean, human being in general and resilient, I mean, we can change. I mean, we used to smoke in airplanes, right? When Australia first banned, it was a big thing. How dare you do that? I mean, it's my right. And that was, I think, late 80s. Now you cannot even smoke in your own home if you have a child, right? There must be some law, right? That your child has a right. So that mindset change took a while. I think we will accelerate whatever we're doing. And this is my super optimist view on that. Technology is there. It was unthinkable. When I did the first solar project in Mongolia 2001, I was told, listen, these are little things. We don't do this. These are NGOs. We are a big bank. Now, all the big banks are financing big on solar. The world has changed. Prices are cheaper. It's cheaper to build a brand new solar than running old coal plants. And those changes, I'm quite optimistic. I think we have run out of time, but again, like in a marathon, you catch up. Some people suddenly do a sprint in the last few rounds. So I'm hoping that's what will happen in this case. We'll get there. That's my view.
Good. Yeah, I'm just curious if I have the same opportunity to draw the same topic, climate investments or infrastructure. What's the difference from last 2018 to 2020?
Yeah, I think
big difference must be.
the one difference could be that I'm just trying to visualize that you saying the missing project, but you can show maybe like a dew forming, droplets forming, and suddenly they will start dropping. Projects will come. Maybe they are just being formed because a lot of people are now giving attention. It's not climate change. Before it was like some of the things in Central Asia. When I started 2015, I was told, no, you cannot talk climate change here. Now, Turkmen government, Kazakh governments, these are like a fossil fuel full stop countries. They are talking renewable energy. They are making investment in renewable energy. They understand that, yes, we have gas. People are not going to use gas because I used many times and they use themselves that Stone Age came to an end, not because they ran out of stone, because of technology. And they themselves use that sentence. And I said, wow. Before they were saying, no, who are you? I mean, this is our bread and butter. Actually, one very senior gentleman who is, I think, deputy minister now in Uzbekistan once told me, you go away. You really stress us out. He was on my face. We are at a conference, and then we become very good friends. And he said, no, renewable energy. He got his kids investing in renewable energy, doing startup. So I'm very hopeful. We'll get there.
And I see that even in Japan, which is not the forefront of renewable energy, unfortunately, but it is moving. It at least my bank, the bank that I have, my savings in Japan, they start doing more like a climate investment options at least. When I arrived here 2 years ago, there wasn't. So I was keep telling to my representative there, you have to come up with something about climate. Otherwise, I am not going to put my money in this bank. Like, please write it to your headquarters, like boss and everybody. And last year, they started. So it's coming. More money. I do feel the money is coming. So like if I draw the same picture, probably the left side chunk of money is even bigger. Where they to go, well, we want to go, it's same, more renewable, sustainable. It seems like in the middle, private startups use or those government changing. So yeah, it is. That sounds good. I'm a little more hopeful.
I mean, another picture I used many years ago in a conference. So this was the early Kyoto days. I was saying that if you get into a boat, you have poor people, rich people, a lot of people brought big suitcases. This is what climate change in a way. And then suddenly someone say, hey, our boat is sinking, right? So then you complain, hey, you got the big bag in the past. I am a poor. That was the developing country versus developed debate, right? Who did what in the past? But then my view was at one point, you will start throwing those boxes out of your boat because the boat is sinking. It doesn't matter where it came from. You just say, hey, we are all sinking together. It's only one boat. And I somehow feel we are approaching that point. The growing discussion, the demarcation line that came back from historically who did what, that argument is slowly fading away. Everyone's saying, hey, the boat is sinking. We have to do something. Doesn't matter what we did or did not do in the past, no? I think that point has crossed.
Your story makes me think that I must do a little more touchy drawing. By touchy, I mean climate change or the future has some emotion to it, right? I mean, the youth are screaming because they're scared or they're frustrated or by it's all the reasons. That's not about the logic or reason or bullet points. That's their life. I don't want to live in it. I just like emotion coming in. But in most of the meetings that I attend, the emotion is kind of very subtle. Not many people cry in those presentations. Not many people scream. Today's presentation, I talk this. We need this. Thank you very much. But as a graphic facilitator, I probably should emphasize or amplify the hidden emotion behind it because they do have. I mean, you are kind of easy to draw, so because you're a good storyteller and you tell what you feel and what you think. But not everybody does that. But I think what really changes is the emotions and like more beyond the logics, and the drawing does have power of bringing those aspects front. And I think that if we were talking real about the change in making changes and differences, that should deserve a little bit more attention than just pure data. Data is important, scientific findings are important, but combined with little more stories and sensations, I think.
Yeah, I think this is an area we are all vested, we like it or not, right? And especially what's happening now, you have a property by the beach, you are super excited, and suddenly the council saying, hey, we are not going to approve any renovation because there will be water level rise. Look at the map, and you suddenly lost a value of your property. So it's hitting you hard. It's not far away in a remote part of Bangladesh or in Africa or Pacific Islands. People, you are hit. So I think that's the sort of people realize that everyone is going to get hit. And especially the pandemic, I believe, may have done a lot more for the climate somehow because people had the time to think through. And it's a world never had a common problem. I mean, climate change was there, but no one thought about that way, right? It was like a winners and losers, right? I'm a fossil fuel, I'm a loser. But through pandemic, people realized, no. We have a common problem. We can all get united, looking for a single solution, whatever the vaccine and whatnot. And the elephant in the room has been the climate change, right? And this is going to come and will not leave anyone behind, right?
Yeah. That's true. It's obvious thing. We don't talk enough of obvious things, and if you see it, you actually do get like war. I think people have in mind, but like until actually you see social media coming in from your friends in Ukraine, like wow, that hits not the logic, not the news, not the bullet points, not the data, but like wow, that's you can't sleep tonight because it's such a big hit on you, and that kind of same level of impact needed for actual changes. And I became 90% vegetarian in 2012, 2011, I think, when I was working for UNICEF in Vietnam, and I was doing the Green Change, Green Champions. And at that time, we were showing the movies every week. We showing some climate change related movie to make the more green champions within the UN agencies. And not because of the hope, I was looking at all the documentaries and like, oh, can't eat meat anymore. I'm sorry, I just can't. So I became a vegetarian. So that, okay, but if I'm just reading those bullet points and PowerPoint slides, I don't think I became a vegetarian. It was those videos about the documentaries and films and people, and then like, oh, okay, all right, that's enough. I should do my part.
Yeah, I mean, also those systems can be improved. I'm not there vegetarian yet, but I understand the numbers. But the issue is the way we do things in cattle production, in many of our agriculture, can be way more efficient. I took an interest on growing things on water in hydroponics in 2020. I live in a 30th floor apartment, and I grew most of my, at least 4 or 5 greens out of my apartment during the entire pandemic. Yes, I had at one stage almost close to 1,000 plants in my apartment. So all my salads, I did not buy anything for 2 years. So if I can do it and that's one of the reasons I'm also getting into a new life, living my current employment is to do a startup on agri-tech. So I'm still learning, because I think that's also important, because today you buy a lettuce or something, I believe the numbers are like a 70% of that is cost of transportation, because it comes very far away. Like in US, everything gets grown in Salinas and it goes to LA, it goes to New York and all of those. I mean, people should be able to grow very close to where they live. So if you reduce that distance, that saves. So I think that's also one major change happening globally, as a result of the pandemic, sourcing local, whatever it is, because transport is so much unnecessary transportation we do.
If you do make your own company and start selling the hydroponic, let me know. I want to. I did try in Manila. I tried the hydroponic and actual farming in my garden, and here I'm trying again, but I had a little bit high. I mean, yeah, it's that.
No. I can grow now. I'm just thinking now how to scale up. It's actually thinking in a way it could be at a large scale, like a food security issues, like a lot of Pacific countries which I've never been, they import their lettuce from Australia. This is crazy. And then my clients like Turkmenistan in the middle of, I've been to Turkmenabad and all those areas, empty land, plenty of sun, a bit of water. I mean, you can do amazing stuff putting all these technologies together. Yeah, that's a long conversation. Yeah, so I think while, yes, we have to consume responsibly vegetarian and get out because of climate, but at the same time, I think there's tremendous opportunity to improve the energy content or reduce the sort of climate footprint of all the thing that we do. Right now, what we do is super inefficient just because of saving few extra dollars, right? People just been very much focused.
Right. It is starting like a supermarket. Third floor is the green factory. That's happening. First one grow in Kyoto, I think. And Tokyo, I mean, there might be a few, but if it's scalable, I think people will get it, and if it's cheap, there's no difference. And supermarkets get like cheaper, faster, fresher vegetables.
Yeah, I mean, and what is cheap? If you take into the equation the cost of the climate impact, the cost of inconvenience, the cost of all other costs, then the price will be very different. Right now, people are not paying all those other costs, right?
Exactly. Yeah, cost. Yeah, that's if we start talking about the cost. Oh my God, I have so many things that I want to say. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So looks like you are in the field which is the most important field right now, to telling people what actually is happening in a sort of meaningful, understandable language, no?
Yeah, yeah. And from very like hidden sphere of financial institutions, because no one knows about ADB, EBRD, AFDB. People know UNICEF. If I say when I used to work for UNICEF, oh, ADB, what is ADB? EBRD, they don't even know what it's EBRD. But that actually has the power to change the whole game, right? Because of so much power, money as a power. So yeah, that's I'm very excited. I'm very fortunate to actually work with this part of like financing part, so that actually, as you say, system, like the way the whole things flow will change. So, well, on my part, it's really small, but yeah, I'm very fortunate to work in this field.
Yeah, and I think that as the general attitude have changed, my daughter is doing an MBA right now, and I was talking to some of her classmates, and all want to do sustainable startup, this and that. They saying we don't want to help rich people to make more money. We want to help the poor who cannot. This was not an attitude my MBA class had 30 years back, or even, yeah, something like that. The people were saying, no, we are going to build something, sell something, list something. It was a very different ambition, right? Or be the CEO of a large corporation, cut costs, get rid of all the lazy people. And I mean, the attitude was very, very different, no? So where can people find you? I am really curious. You have a website? How to do?
My website, my first name and last name in one word, keisuketaketani.com. That's I have some graphics that I have done over years, or LinkedIn and Twitter. I think those are three platforms that I normally put my works out.
Oh, fantastic. But do you do also some, I think it would be good to have a visual illustration of you with of a particular meeting, how you capture that skill. I think would be very, very useful. Do you do any training, LinkedIn training or anything?
Don't do any trainings. I wish I want to take more trainings. And but if anyone is interested in the graphic facilitation or summarizing visually, my advice is just do it, because that's how I did it. I never took any trainings. I never did any actual I didn't have mentor, just the drawing. And surprisingly, people draw much better than they think. 100% for sure, because people have a mentality that I don't draw well, and that's the responsibility is modern education. The education doesn't pay enough attention to the art, but the math and science, math and literature, those are more important than art. So art is put aside, and because you are not trained, of course you don't do it well. But surprisingly, people draw so well. Yeah, and it's fun.
So do you do like, this is my rough sketch. It came out from the meeting. Now I do a bit of beautification process, clean that up. Is it a two-stage process?
I don't do that. I normally just get it on spot and send it out for the live sessions, because those days, once it ends, it goes to the social media immediately. So after people can start sharing it. I just went there, this is summary, like it goes sooner the better. So later I have found the typos and something else. So like I correct some part for the report, official report, but social media immediately, right after the session, it goes out.
So on your Twitter, I mean, I'm trying to understand, if a meeting goes on, will you do a live session where people can see how you're capturing?
They do actually. People can see how I capture, and hopefully in the face-to-face events that come back very soon, then people take a picture during the break and then share on with hashtag, and as it goes, actually people, first part is just half empty, and the end of the day full empty, and keep taking pictures. After that,
Oh,
it's successful time.
fas-
Unsuccessful time, no one take pictures. Like, oh, please come and see stuff.
fascinating. So, is there a particular hashtag you use for all your work?
No hashtag. No, the hashtag goes with the conference.
But maybe you can do a unique hashtag, no, so that people can search all
Okay.
your work, no?
Yeah, that's actually. I do put at the end my Twitter handle.
Ah,
My
wow. So how, suppose somebody, I mean, I'm very inspired to learn, someone like me, or someone new, saying, hey, this is what I want to do. I have a bit of degree in communication. I have more right brain than Mr. Hasni. So maybe I'll get into this. Where should one start if they want to learn this? What resources?
I started by finding a graphic facilitator or graphic recorder that's similar to my style, because a lot of people have different styles. Some
Mhm,
people just draw in a stick man, that's okay, and some
mhm.
others use more brush strokes, which is fine. I would say go and Google it and see the ones that you like. I won't draw like them, because you must have some preferences. You have some
Yeah.
styles, no? So you just then try to find that person on the YouTube or Google, and then supplying a lot of free trainings and tips and materials online. And that's how most of the time that's how I learned. I did take some workshop after I became a graphic facilitator. Okay, I probably should take some trainings, but the amount of things that I learned from the paid workshop and the constant googling of how to do like sample of like actual illustrations, it's it's the same. It's you just go and Google it.
Fascinating. I mean, this is enough to keep someone wake up at night saying, wow, I'm really, really impressed by what you just explained. Oh, wow. Is there anything else I could have asked? I'm really fascinated now.
That's sweet. Work with kids. That's a thing I want to do.
Mhm.
It's if my kids understand, that's a good drawing. And if somehow bring the kids into the workshop, I know it's not that easy, or like in the
Mhm.
workplace, but kids are so creative and so much open-minded. So somehow if you can bring the kids into your work as a viewer, observer, or actual creator, I think that makes a whole change the tone of the conversations and the quality of output. So that's my hidden secret that bring kids into the world.
Yeah, I mean, but adult education, I had a consultant colleague who was working with, he wrote me a report. I said 3 pages. We want to convince the minister. What he wrote, I didn't understand. He got offended. And I told him, sorry, I want a plain English. He said, this is in English. And I said, okay, go and sit with your teenage daughter.
Mhm.
If she understands, she agrees, then you send me. And he said, no, it's impossible. She has no patience. I said, yeah, that's us. And it took me a while. The content was very good. I spent, with my ability, not your ability, maybe entire 3-4 days to decipher his 20 odd slides into 6-7 slides. The content was very rich, but as to how to present was a challenge. So there are a lot of professionals like him. English is their first language. Of course, there's no language problem, but they have a very complex spaghetti in their head with all the technical mumbo jumbos and qualifiers. So how do you help them to come out of their shell so that they can help climate change? No.
Well, I think that's why I have my job. So I have to be grateful for the adult learning.
That's a good point. Yes.
Yeah. So work with those that people can translate. It is a technical translation, like one language to the other language, although it's both in English. And one is visual language, one is a literal language, one is technical language, and a plain language. So you do need a translator, I think. And the more and more you work with those translators, then spaghetti will be a softened.
That's good. Thank you very much. I really learned a lot. Thank you. Really appreciate for your time. That was fantastic.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it too, and hopefully we do something again. Yeah, if the visually, hopefully I see you.
Thank you for joining us this week. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to our show. Also, leave your comments and review if you enjoyed today's episode. Follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter at @shasni for updates. That's SHASNIE. Once again, this has been Energypreneurs, connecting you to the innovative opportunities in solar power, batteries, and electric vehicles. Stay tuned.